A lot of people wonder what's involved in a consultation. So we're going to do a consultation. Good day. How
Good
are you
day.
doing?
Good.
So typically I allow a couple of hours for something like this, and we're going to talk about everything that you mentioned in your email that you care about, and anything that I see as we go. Everything from plant health to design ideas, and just play it by ear.
Perfect. Sounds great.
How long have you been here?
A couple of years now.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm glad to see that you didn't destroy stuff before we talked about this. A lot of people rip everything out, and I could have saved many of these things. So when we look at your gardens, we could start a hosta nursery. There's a lot of that, and we want to spread those out a bit through the property. The reason being is that texture makes or breaks a garden. Okay, flowers come and go. Texture makes or breaks a garden. This is bold. We need to add in some sword shapes and some feathery, like your ferns over there. That's a good feathery thing. We need some grasses or yuccas or something like that. And no one is looking for any extra maintenance. So I know a lot of people are in that boat. Nobody wants something sort of Palace of Versailles. So we're going to come at everything from that particular angle. Before we go any further, I'm looking at your blue spruce here. And it is an unhappy blue spruce, but it doesn't need to be taken down right away. There's a trick to making a plant healthy. If you've got a tree that's under stress, and not everybody agrees with this, but this is from Dr. Alex Shigo. If you slope mulch up from the trunk and then out 6 inches thick, that will restore the soil microbiome, the fungi and bacteria that live in the soil, and that will help the tree be healthy. So there's two things I see here that are really important. You've got this bridal wreath spirea, which is lovely in the spring. Sometimes they have good fall color, but it's overgrown here. And this is one of the things I was really happy that you didn't rip out before I got here. Because if we wait till spring and cut this all the way to the ground, nothing but little circles left, almost below the ground, this will come back beautifully and will be in scale with the landscape, and it'll do it in 6 months. It'll be almost waist high 6 months after we prune it to the ground. So there are a lot of plants that you can completely rejuvenate. And the other thing that I'm happy to see, not only do you have some nativars, so that's cultivars of native plants, but you also have some great fall color here. This is a lovely plant called 4 o'clock. It's a native Onothra, and it has pretty big yellow flowers in June, and then this beautiful fall color. And it'll have this in the shade, it'll have it in the sun, it spreads well, it's drought tolerant. So we can divide from here and then add it throughout the property to give you that interest. You saw how beautiful and rich gold your hostas were. This against the hostas would look really sharp. And then if we picked, say, a red grass, like a plant called switchgrass, which is another lovely native, then we could mix that in, and there's all your textures right there. And we're going to sort of repeat that idea throughout the garden. Now, the next thing that strikes my eye, we talked about maintenance, the biggest, most important thing you can do in your garden is edging the garden. Now, if you need to have it done, we can talk about that, but you want to use a tool called a half moon or an edger. We're a little literal in this business. And you want to put a good deep 4-inch edge on the bed, usually in nice curves. Would you say that you like curvilinear or rectilinear?
Oh, definitely curve.
Okay, it's more relaxing actually. The studies have shown. So we follow the rough edge of the bed, straightening it out, and that stops the grass from growing into the garden. I've seen gardens like this bulldozed because grass got into the garden, and it just becomes untenable. So as we work our way around the house, there's things that I see. And you have a walnut here. And as much as I like native trees, you don't want it right near the foundation. A lot of people think that trees can damage a foundation. And if you have a crack in the foundation, then yes, tree roots can get in there and cause harm. However, if it's right against the foundation, then as the tree grows, it puts pressure on the wall, and you can crack it that way as well. So we want to get rid of that. We use a tool called an extractigator, which bites the base of the trunk and acts as a fulcrum and a lever together and just pulls it right out of the ground. If you're open to the idea, I would love to get rid of the periwinkle that's here. Periwinkle is a lovely ground cover, but it is truly invasive. And unfortunately, you probably love burning bush. Everybody loves burning bush, but this is a problem tree as well. And it spreads, birds come and eat these little berries and carry them out into the wild. There is a better plant, and this one's overgrown anyway, but there's a better plant called red chokeberry. Terrible name, great plant, because this has fall color. Red chokeberries is just as nice. Plus, you get white flowers in the spring. I imagine you care about pollinators and such.
Oh, very much so,
Okay.
yes.
Most of the people who reach out to us gravitate toward the eco work that we do. But you never need to sacrifice beauty to get that. Anyway, focus, Sean. It's got the white flowers in the spring for the pollinators. It's got red berries that the birds can eat, and it's got the beautiful fall color. And those red berries last right through the winter. So it's got multiple seasons of interest as opposed to 2 weeks of kaboom. Okay?
Perfect, yeah.
We're going to want to save your irises here. We'll dig them out, we'll bare root them, we'll figure out a place for them. Probably somewhere in full sun. There's a lot of shade here, and this is a plant that likes full sun and good drainage. So we can probably put it out maybe on the south side of the spruce trees, because the blue foliage from these would really complement the blue foliage of the spruce, yet the textures would contrast.
Oh, very
A lot of things to think about. This lawn is not helping my knee.
You know, it's the world's lumpiest lawn.
Okay, so we've landed on a good point, which is interesting. There are ways to delump the lawn. If and we can find a contractor to help you for this. If we get a dethatcher, international sign for dethatcher, and we set it on grind. You set it as low as you can go and run back and forth across the lawn. It'll knock the tops off of those bumps and fill in the valleys.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, and then we can, if we need to, we can reseed it. Although this is pretty thick, it's just lumpy. Okay, so there are ways to do that. Now, I want to look at this tree here, and I want to talk about pruning. And the reason I want to talk about pruning is because of this. Right? You're going to be mowing the lawn, you're going to be walking around, and it's going to attack you,
Yeah.
thusly. All right, so we want to leave branches as low as we can on a tree for the health of the tree. But at the same time, I would think about taking maybe these guys off, okay? And a lot of people leave a stub. They'd cut it off here and leave that stub because we feel bad pruning. I don't want to cut everything off. The tree can heal. I'm not going to cut anything yet. The tree can heal at these growth collars here. There's like a knuckle there. This is called the branch bark ridge. And then there's sort of a knuckle right here. So that's where the cut would be made. As close to that knuckle, it's actually really clear on this one. As close to that knuckle, but not into the knuckle. Okay? That's where you make the cut. That's the best place for the tree to heal because that's where all the hormones are to heal the wound.
That makes sense.
Okay? And when you're pruning, the 3 Ds, dead, diseased, and damaged, and interfering wood. That's what you're going to look for. Okay? And beyond that, it's aesthetics. So this is spectacular. This is one of our native elm trees, and they're brilliant for biodiversity. There are cool caterpillars like the morning cloak butterfly that feed on it. It becomes a gorgeous tree. It's tolerant of everything, including wet feet, which means its roots are in water. And so it's right beside this little waterway. This is a natural, well, probably a man-made waterway, or sculpted. And we can take this and make it stunning for you. To have something like this on a property is a real gift because some of the year, fall and spring, this is going to flow. This is what we call an intermittent creek. So we can get rid of this grass and then plant plants that like to grow in a situation like that, like dogwood. Pretty simple. Blue flag iris, sparkleberry. Talk about winter interest. One moment. Important thing to mention. Winter interest is key. Okay, flowers come and go. Yes, texture is important. Yes, but winter lasts a long time. So we got to make the garden look pretty in the winter. I think a lot about things that have flower structure and foliage structure in the wintertime. I do think about evergreens. I think about berries. These are all important things to put together. Our gardens tend to be little mini botanical gardens, but really beautiful, but with unusual plants at the same time. So cardinal flowers would do great in here. Really unusual things that are good for butterflies, good for hummingbirds, good for pollinators, and creates habitat overall. We also think a lot about what is a host plant. So I mentioned the elm is a host plant for morning cloak butterflies. Their caterpillars feed on it. Because if we can support the caterpillars, then that supports the birds, and there's the whole food chain. Okay. So we've covered a lot. You can reach me at any time with further questions if you like. But this gets us started. Now you can think about where you want to go from there. If you want us to find someone for you to price some projects, or I mean, we do little boutiquey things like pruning as well ourselves. Do you have any other questions for me?
Not right now, thank you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Appreciate it, thank
Okay?
you.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too.